believe that Ben Affleck just switched over to Marvel after that Batman gig and made that surprise appearance at the very end. Hey, it's Zadie, welcome to Flytte Kartina, and that was me telling you guys that this is a spoiler rant. That didn't actually happen. So, spoiler warning in advance. I'm probably one of the last YouTubers to put out their spoiler rant on this movie in particular because everybody's been so fast and they've been to premieres and stuff, and I just saw the movie twice, so this is like fresh in my mind and stuff. So we're gonna talk spoilers and give a little discussion. I'll give you guys some scenes that I really liked and like dialogue that I appreciated. I'll give you guys some like stuff, and all of these are spoilers. So if you didn't know, now you know. So this video I'm gonna be going from I'm gonna be jumping from topic to topic, and if you can't handle that kind of schizophrenia, you probably shouldn't have been able to watch Avengers Infinity War because that was like schizophrenic. Okay, the first thing that I thought of when I saw this film in its completeness was the full circle that brought everything around. In the beginning of the trailer, you know, when the Nick Fury says, "There was an idea." So that is the first line of the trailer, and that is Nick Fury's voice, which is Samuel L. Jackson, duh. And then there's the last line of the film, which is said by Nick Fury too. He's the one who started the Avengers Initiative, and he's the one who is promptly ending the original Avengers Initiative by dying. So yeah. I really liked when they switched from like the introductory scenes where they were like, okay, here's Wakanda and here's the Guardians of the Galaxy, here is all this. I liked when they used their music to do that. That was really nice, and it kind of segued into that, and it was like, it was showing, not telling. A scary thing about this film was that I don't know what's gonna happen in Avengers 4, I think the next one is. Like, seriously, I don't know what they're gonna do about it now. I mean, obviously they're gonna beat Thanos because that's just kind of what's gonna happen. But what in particular is going to happen, that I do not know, and everybody's gotten all these fan theories about it. I'm not looking at those right now because I don't want to delve too deep into it because I gotta wait a year, and I'm really looking forward to Ant-Man and Wasp. Let's talk about the reason behind Quill and Wanda's stupidity. I feel like this is a topic that needs to be discussed because not a lot of people that I've seen have like gone and said like, oh, this is why Peter Quill and Wanda have, you know, done the things that like kind of extended the plot like an extra 5-10 minutes. The reason behind why Quill was like gonna punch Thanos' lights out when they're so close from getting the glove off, it's like he's lost a lot in the past two films. Like, it's centered around Peter Quill, and if you didn't know that about the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's kind of centered around him. At least that's what it kind of felt like. So the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie was about his mom dying, and then the second one is about his dad dying, which he had to kill, and it was necessary and weird also. But he lost both of his parents, and he had to watch them die. And it was both times in his life where he was like, it was like a traumatic moment, and he had to deal with that. And now he's turning to his new family, which are the Guardians, and he really likes Gamora. Like, he really, really, really likes Gamora. And so that, having that taken away from him too, it's like, having that taken away from him as well was like another stab to the heart and like crushing the already broken pieces of his soul. Same thing goes for Wanda. In the first movie she was in, she lost her brother. The second movie she was in, she lost most of her friends because of Civil War. And now she only has like Vision, because she was in prison and like traumatized and all that stuff. She only has Vision to lean back on, and like he's the only person that she's gotten close to, and she really doesn't want to lose that person again. So that's why she's waited so long to actually destroy the stone, and yeah, and stuff like that. So those are the reasons behind their stupidity. Everybody else is like, what are you doing? But like, for them, it's a big thing to do something like that, if that makes sense. The credits in there were more like a memorial. They reminded me of a memorial because they were just like in Times New Roman font, and it was so boring, and it was just like really sad music, and then it just flashes their name and nothing special except for the title screen at the end where they're just like, oh yes, it's fading away just like all of your feelings and your friends and everyone you love. In this film, you were in a constant state of anxiety. There's a lot of emotional exhaustion in this, and halfway through the film I was like, okay, I've got nothing left to lose. I'm just like deadpanning. It's like nothing is affecting me anymore. And then at the end of it I was like, apparently there was more to lose for me. This film was like, you need to like, they were like, here, have some anxiety. This movie was a lot of like push and pull of your emotions and played with them, and you're like, no one is safe anymore. You don't know what's gonna happen, and you're like, you know, all the fan theories are circling through your head. You're just like, that guy's gonna die, and that guy's gonna die, and that guy's gonna die, and like, you're just like, when are they gonna die? This was a good villain. It was really developed. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Thanos because I did some research on him, which didn't actually help anything in my perspective of him at all. But Thanos is an Eternal, which means nothing to me, but apparently that means that celestial beings did experiments and stuff and basically made him totally OP. In this film, I think a lot of the heroes were underpowered and like, were like, hey, guess what? You can't even touch him. But like, Captain America went up against him, and by pure force of will and freedom that he managed to stop his fist from clenching. So that was pretty interesting. That was an interesting development. Whenever Thanos got another Infinity Stone, it like, it like attached itself to the gauntlet and it was like, power up. That's basically what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, this is a video game. He just powered up himself up with another relic or something like that. At the end of the film, it says that Thanos will return. They promise us Thanos will return. I don't need to know that Thanos will return. I need to know if anybody else is going to return, and they're like throwing it in my face and they're just like, guess what, Thanos will return. I don't really need to know that. It's kind of obvious. Thanos is a good villain mostly because he thinks that he's in the right when everybody knows that he's in the wrong. He doesn't care, he knows he's in the right, and he thinks that he's in the right, and he believes it with all of his heart. That's how you make a good villain, when your villain believes that he's in the right. And it actually kind of makes sense to a certain degree. I mean, when I was watching him, I was like, yeah, I can see myself going after world annihilation like that. I mean, not total annihilation, just half annihilation. When Banner said he kills half the population, I was like, are you serious? He doesn't have the guts to kill the rest. And then I realized as further on why his reasoning is like that. And I was like, makes sense. I would get on board with that. No, I wouldn't. No, that's horrible. One thing that Thanos does right is that he uses family against each of the heroes. Like, he uses him against, in the first scene it's Loki, and then in the next scene it's Gamora and Nebula. He knows what gets people, and because he's had children, he's adopted children into his family. He knows what family's about, and he knows how to use that against them. And it kind of like, brought back a lot of the memories from like, all the previous movies. Also, this is Marvel's way of saying, hey, this is still a family movie. Care for your family. Everybody cares about their family, right? So that's why we're gonna use them against you and kill you off in the end eventually. The team-ups were really well done. I feel like they put a lot of thought into this, and they were like, most of these are pretty obvious, so we just need to pair them together, figure out a way to get them to meet each other, and it worked really well. I mean, it's like the match made in heaven sort of thing. Like, you're just like, this is an awesome team-up. And the interactions between all of them, they did the Rocket Raccoon and Bucky Barnes thing. They did that banter part, and there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Some of the reunions were really short and sweet, but it was still like satisfying, and the team-ups were satisfying, to say the least. I really liked them a lot. It's everything that my little comic book nerd inside of me wanted in a team-up movie. This is probably one of the biggest collective film team-ups in history. The Russo brothers did a really good job with that. Idris Elba is dead. Loki is officially dead. Even Thanos is like, yeah, Loki's dead. Ebony Maw dies too, which is really funny. Like, they just show him in space and he's just like, just frozen, and I'm just like, ha, you thought. Loki is officially dead, finally. I don't know what they're gonna do with his death other than Thor is like super emotionally dead right now, because like his whole family's died, his best friend has died. They had a whole moment where he's like listing off all the characters in his franchise that died, and so it's just kind of like, yeah, but he still had a positive sort of attitude. He was crying while doing it, and it was really sad, and it was great acting. Speaking of Thor, he's had a lot of growth in the past 2 movies that he's been in. I feel like Thor has grown the most from his like, basically jock buddy sort of thing to this fully developed character with depth in it. It only took 4 films. Basically, all of the old generation was going to die off because their contracts are expiring and stuff like that. You didn't kill them, so you're probably gonna kill them in the next one. That gets me even scared, more scared, that's the word. Our victory literally slipped in between our fingers. That was a great action scene. That was really well choreographed and developed, and like a good use of their abilities together collectively. I liked that scene a lot because you just saw everybody working together. It was the team up that you wanted. Bruce Banner was stuck in his human form the entire film except for like the beginning part. Maybe it was because the $200 to $300 million budget didn't actually account for the CGI in the Hulk's physiology. Kidding, I'm kidding. Banner has all of these comic relief bits for his side of like anything, but I think the reason why it was so awkward to see him like this in this sort of light was because we never see Banner's end of the fight. We only see Hulk because that's the guy we want. We want the strong guy. We don't want the nerdy guy who sits behind the desk. We want the strong guy to be fighting our battles, but no, we get Banner because the Hulk is having relationship issues. I kind of miss Bruce Banner from the original Avengers film. I recently rewatched that because reasons, and I kind of miss him. What happened to that guy? I want him back. Red Skull say what? They brought Red Skull back, and I don't know how I feel about that. It's just like kind of a, is it a thing that's gonna happen in the future? I feel like Marvel had a huge like board discussion. They were like, hey, you know what they won't see coming? This. And then they're like, hey, Red Skull. I mean, it's fun that we get to know what happens after, but is he still alive, or is he like the Grim Reaper of the Soul Stone? In 5 years, I think we'll all be fine. Like, in retrospect, with all the big picture things that's going going on. Right now, we're just going kind of dead, and like what just happened with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a lot of people were like, I am no longer supporting Marvel, and I was like, guys, come on, that was a great movie. I like this film. If you couldn't tell, I just said all good things about it, basically. But in 5 years, I think we'll all be fine. Question of the week is, what was the team up that you liked the best out of all of them? You let me know in the comments down below. I do read all of your comments. If you hit that subscribe button, then I'll love you even more. It's gonna be great. That's all I have for you guys today. Have a great random Thursday. See you on the other side of the screen. Bye!